Keep it carefully in mind. The Lord your God has made a covenant with you. As a convert to Catholicism, one of the things that was very striking to me is the intellectual depths of the church. Some people have a very superficial view of the church because they've never studied what she teaches in a serious manner. They have maybe Instagram approach or social media approach to the church. And on my conversion, my mother bought me a catechism, and I practically read through the whole thing, and I was just stunned about how the church thinks. Sometimes our own vision of the church is negative or shallow because we never have taken the time to study what she teaches. And this affects us individually and how we see the church, how we see our mother who gave birth to our faith. There's a great philosophical principle that states what is received in the mode of the receiver. Therefore, in some way, we all attend Mass, but we receive it differently. Some people even say they get nothing out of Mass. This really reveals a real poor spiritual life, where the person's heart is more rooted in some other person or thing other than Christ, other than God Himself. For the whole reason, or the primary reason we go to Mass, is for divine worship of Christ. For Christ is not only the Savior who was born, but He's the incarnate Lord, the God of Israel. And in a real way, the Christ who is risen and alive is present at the Holy Mass. This should cause us to tremble a little, but also in wonderment and thanksgiving as we're caught up in His redeeming plan. This is why, just like the wise men, we must seek out God with our mind. There's the primacy of knowledge over action in the world, for you have to study to become a pilot before you can act as one. Also, learning is a real spiritual exercise of the soul. As Catholics, we must not be ignorant of what we believe, or it has drastic effects on how we live out our lives. For some don't even believe that God is in front of them in the Holy Eucharist, but they believe it's simply a piece of bread or some kind of symbol. And if you think this way, it's no wonder you get nothing out of coming here or going to the most holy Mass. It is important that Christ be the center of your life, for you are a priestly people. You are Christ's, and Christ is God's. As St. Paul speaks so eloquently about the reality of how we are caught up by Christ and how Christ saves us. And I love this one line in the Catechism. It states, "But this intimate bond of man and God can be forgotten, can be overlooked, or explicitly rejected by man." Further, it goes on, "The search for God demands every effort of the intellect, a sound will, and an upright heart, truly seeking to be just and holy before God." And it is here in the new eternal covenant where God is found, where Christ made it possible for those who seek to find. And in finding, we must be like the wise men before the Eucharistic Lord, who is born at the hands of a priest, and learn how to fall down and worship Him.